Hello everyone, welcome to round number 5 of the European Team Chess Championship here from Chersonissos, Crete, where we've had a day of upsets yesterday. The Russian team, the eternal favorites, the number 1 seed, who were the only team to lead, to win all their first 3 matches, fell to the Hungarians and are now behind Hungary, Armenia, Germany and Croatia, if I'm not too mistaken. At least those are the matchups on the first 2 boards. We have Armenia versus Hungary, that's a big one, with Peter Leko on the top board versus Levon Aronian. Peter Leko, the vice world champion in 2004, is facing a man he knows very well, Levon Aronian. Peter Leko himself has some ties to Armenia because Arshak Petrosyan, the Armenian national team's coach, is his father-in-law. Peter Leko's wife is Armenian. So they know each other well. Sergei Movsesian on the second board versus Viktor Erdos, Gabriel Sargsyan against Richard Rapport, and Melkumian against Ferenc Berkes. It's a very equal matchup. Aronian, of course, is a rating favorite against Peter Leko, but with the black pieces will be very hard for Levon to make something happen. Let's see if we do have camera from inside the playing hall so we can stalk the players a little, see if there's handshakes, no handshakes, what is going on in there. And here we are. Apparently the players are still waiting for the matches to begin. And there we see Arshak Petrosyan, who I was just talking about, chatting with the Hungarian team captain Ferenc Berkes. No, not Ferenc Berkes, I'm going nuts. Csaba Balogh. Ferenc Berkes, of course, is there. Board number 4, we can almost see there, hidden behind these two. Looks like a heated debate. Maybe they're saying, okay, I offer 3-1 for us, and Balogh is countering with, nah, 2.5 for Hungary is fine, but it looks like they did not reach an agreement, so it has to be played out over the boards. And if it was up to me, I'd lower the camera teeny tiny bit.
Oops, sorry.
It's alright. We can still see Arshak's head over there. There we go. On the bottom board, Ferenc Berkes versus Jan Melkumian. Richard Rapport, who was, I'm not sure if the hero yesterday, probably the hero title goes to Erdos on board 2, who defeated Nepomniachtchi, but Rapport held a very tough end game versus Nikita Vityugov and thereby ensured victory for the Hungarian squad. A lot of money by betting on that position. Now it's unclear to me, at least though, if Leko will play bishop c4 or bishop to b5. Leko capable of doing both. I'm a bit curious here, both sides, big theoreticians, bishop b5. Aronian has recently stuck to his marshal, my favorite opening, by playing a6, knight f6 in most of the games. But this time around, facing Peter Leko, another renowned martial expert, Aronian decides to go the other way and play the Berlin, which he has also employed frequently over the last couple of years. There we see another man who has employed the Berlin quite a bit, Alexander Grishuk, the world number 9, 10? Let's look. I'm obsessed with the live rating list, so I'll check that out right now. 2700chess.com. Alexander Grishuk, now he's lost a couple points in this tournament, so he's down to number 10. Nakamura, world number 9. Currently, Alexander Grishuk, who turned 34 years old yesterday, did not have the best birthday with his team, losing to sad Hungarian squad. The Russians find themselves on board 4 against the surprise team that is Turkey. Or I'm not sure if they're a surprise team, they already did extremely well in the World Team Championships. And this time around they defeated Ukraine yesterday with board 4 Vahab Sanal defeating Kuzubov, who outrated him by, I don't know, like 150 points. So big victory yesterday for Turkey. And as a reward, they are facing the powerhouse that is Russia. That means on board 1, Grishuk is playing Sholak. On board, oh no, sorry, that's Germany. We'll get to Germany in a minute. On board number 2, Jan Nepomniachtchi. The extremely aggressive Leningrad Dutch against the very solid Mustafa Yilmaz. A bit of a provocation there, but maybe he just thinks it's a good opening. I doubt it though. How could putting your pawn on f5 so early be a good opening? Weakening the king, not developing. I will never understand. But, of course, Nepomniachtchi has decided he wants to mix it up. On board 3, Emre Can, not to be confused with the football player from Liverpool who's been discussed on this program frequently, versus Maxim Matlakov from St. Petersburg. And on board 4, the youngster Vahab Sanal, of course, after his big victory yesterday, gets another chance to face the Russian youngster Daniel Dubov. There we see Dubov in the black shirt versus Sanal. And Laurent Fressinet does what he does. He's photobombing this shot. We've talked about Laurent's habit of going to the Tour Eiffel in his home city of France and standing there crushing people's picture. So Russia has some ground to make up, but not as much as you would expect after losing yesterday, because they were in the sole lead, so they're only 1 point behind all of these teams we see on the top boards. Let me have a look at the standings here. Hungary is in the lead, Croatia also 7 points, Armenia 7 points, and then Russia is 4th with 6 points, just as Germany, Poland, Belarus, Turkey. So only Hungary, Croatia and Armenia have more points currently. However, the Germans have been doing well and are on 6 points, facing another surprise team, Croatia, that has 7 points. Let's have a brief look what's happening there. This is the match number 2, and there I see my former pupil, Rasmus Swane on the bottom board for Germany, Daniel Friedman, board number 3, Matthias Blübaum, board number 2, and Lividita Nisipiano on board number 1. Board number 1, Nisipiano plays the Caro-Kann against Ivan Saric. This is a very theoretical position. I believe people normally take here and then go knight to f6. We'll see who wins that debate. Nisipiano has been Caro-Kann specialist for quite a while now. Matthias Blübaum, who's always well prepared, and I believe was having a good tournament in this one so far as well. Yeah, 3.5 out of 4, winning a lot of rating, which, not that I'm paying attention to such things, but he's currently 2.643, I'm 2.640, and with all this rating he's winning, I'm going to have to win a lot of points in the next Thailand Open to keep the pace. Going to be tough, but no, shout out to Matthias Blübaum having an excellent tournament here on board 2 for Germany against Bosicic, and I like his position again, even though it's more or less a theoretical position. But this Queen's Indian structure with d5, cd5, ed5, I've never fully trusted for black. I just think it's easier to play with white. It will be very hard for black to ever get in c5, changing the structure, so normally black has to play a bit more quietly. Should be 7, knight to a6, sometimes c6, or knight d7, knight f8, knight e6. And white, in my opinion, has decent chances to build up an initiative here. However, Bosicic, who I believe has also had a good tournament, he had 2.5 out of 3, does disagree and has been making his moves at tempo. So both sides very much still in block. Daniel Friedman there on board 3 in the blue sweater. They both have blue sweaters. Daniel Friedman's on the left from where I'm sitting, versus Hrvoje Stevic in the other blue sweater. Another Petrov for Friedman. Yeah, he's come to this tournament armed with the Petrov, and he's repeating the line that got him, I'm not sure if an easy draw, but that got him a draw in yesterday's game. Poor Daniel Friedman, he has to do all the dirty work for the German team, gets another black game. Very, very solid player. So they leave the youngsters, Blübaum on board 2 and Swane on board 4 with the white pieces to score the goals. And Swane on board number 4 is playing against El Jankovic, who chooses a bit of an offbeat opening, bishop to f5. Of course, this is made possible by white's second move, knight f3. If you start with c4 here, then you really need to be a very brave man to play bishop f5, because c takes d5. It's a fairly serious move here. But after knight f3, it's possible. If it's good is another question. c4, e6, knight to c3. And I've noticed that some people have been doing this recently. They used to play c6 here and then suffer. After queen to b3, recently they've started playing knight to c6 in this position, which I'm not really sure what it's about. To my eyes, I'm never a fan of blocking my c-pawn like that with a knight on c6. I don't think it's very realistic to get in knight b4, followed by knight to c2 check after pretty much any move, bishop f4 or whatnot. I would probably just take and go bishop to f4. But Svane, probably a slightly more ambitious player than me, might do something a little more aggressive. I'm not sure what this knight c6 is about, but some people have started doing that. Maybe it's because with the white pieces, this is d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop f4, c5, e3 has been got popular, so they're saying if you can do it with white, why not do it a tempo down as well? Not sure that's sound logic, but who knows. With the black pieces you normally react by c, d, et, putting a pawn on a6 to stop knight b4 business, but here I don't think we need to spend that tempo. So takes bishop f4, looks very sensible to me. We'll see what Svane comes up with. That is the match between Germany and Croatia. Rating-wise, fairly balanced. Fiona and Saric have the same rating. Bluebaum slightly outrates Bosicic, and then Friedman and Svane also have slightly higher ratings than their Croatian opponents. But it's very, very close. That's board number 2. We've briefly looked at the Russians on board number 4. That leaves board number 3, where Poland, always a tough team, is facing another, at least to me, small surprise in form of Belarus, who've been doing very well, defeated Spain yesterday. The Spaniards weren't thrilled and are now dealing with the very tough Polish squad, led by their two 2700 players on boards 1 and 2. There we see Radek Wojtaszek in the background on board number 1. And Jan-Krzysztof Duda is trying to make my life easier, so I don't have to say in the black shirt, oh, everybody else has a black shirt too. No, Duda put on a yellow shirt. Now, just as I was about to say, the only man you can see in a yellow shirt, I spotted in the background Ivan Saric, also wearing a yellow shirt. So maybe it's a Halloween thing, I'm not sure. But Jan-Krzysztof Duda on board number 2 has been defending some dubious positions and with the black pieces and scored a key victory. Who was it? He did score one key victory against Georg Meyer against Germany yesterday, holding the 2-2. Let's see how he does today. He plays the French opening against Kovalyov, and it transposes to a Petrov, believe it or not, or I don't know, maybe the Petrov would transpose to a French. Same position. Fascinating. Anyway, exchange French is normally not a sign of big ambitions. Probably the Belarusians have decided this guy Duda is not to be messed with. He's 2700, he's a tactical monster. We will play it safe on board number 2. On board number 1, no such thing. Sergei Shigalko going for a very sharp line against Radek Wojtaszek. I have no idea what to tell you guys about this position. Let's see how it occurred. G3, C5, D5, takes. They used to play B5 here, but this pawn sacrifice E4 has really put this line out of business. Knight takes E4, bishop to G2. And if you give your engine of choice another choice, a little time, it will already start telling you that white has a tremendous position. Therefore, after CD5, Sergei Shigalko plays D6 and transposes to the modern Benoni, which I've never been a fan of, but I thought if you must play the modern Benoni, then at least play it when white has committed to G3, because the white bishop on G2 sort of staring at his own pawn on D5. And therefore, many people choose to only employ it after white has played 3G3, as in this game. Castle, rook to E8, bishop to F4, and there's this trendy line with, or I'm not sure how trendy it is, but this line with knight E4, knight takes E4, rook takes E4, knight D2, rook takes F4, which has been played quite a bit recently. GF, bishop takes B2, rook B1, bishop somewhere back, with compensation for the exchange. But Shigalko decides not to test Radek in that line. Instead plays a move knight to a6. Also a very logical move. We're planning to go knight c7 to prepare b5, stop white from going knight to b5, keep an eye on the d5 pawn, and so on and so forth. After rook to e1, black plays bishop to g4, which might look strange. He's giving up his bishop for the knight, and I'm not sure if it's great, but there is certain logic to doing this in all kinds of Benoni situations. The short version is, in the long term, white would like to get in e4 and e5. And the white knight on f3 contributes to supporting e5. Well, the light square bishop obviously can't do battle on the dark squares. Therefore, it exchanges himself, and making it much harder for white to ever get in this breakthrough. The price you have to pay, though, is the bishop pair, which is always a force to be reckoned with, as long as it's on the board. Knight d7 played. My best guess is that bishop d6, queen b6 is not a great idea. Bishop f4, queen takes b2, and white's greed would backfire. So curious to see what Wojtaszek does here. So far he hasn't taken a lot of time. Always well prepared, Radek Wojtaszek. And yeah, indeed, he plays knight to e4 without much thought. Targeting this pawn on d6. My guess is he wants to force black to go knight to e5 and then just regroup without having to worry about his b2 pawn. Enjoying his two bishops. Slightly better for white. We shall see. We'll briefly continue our tour through that game, through that match. Kasper Piorun for Poland versus Kirill Stupak for Belarus. And sharp French, queen to g4. We've seen this line played by somebody else earlier in this tournament. Can't remember who it was. It was queen g4 as well. King to f8. Probably that's a bit of a tabia that I haven't been aware of. There, white went for some knight f3 and then some h3, planning d takes c5 later. So theoretical debate here between Kasper Piorun and Kirill Stupak. And on the bottom board, Poland is playing with Jacek Tomczak versus the very experienced Alexei Alexandrov, who we can see here in the striped shirt, pondering his next move against the Grunfeld. He went for the humble-looking e3, bishop g7, and now c takes d5, takes, and the white point is, since he hasn't committed his knight to f3, he can quickly bring it all the way to c3, bothering the black queen, and at the same time controlling some important central squares. This line has been tried quite a bit. It's not supposed to refute the Grunfeld, but it's a very solid setup for white. Black has to know what he's doing. I don't know what black is supposed to do, but I will take Tomczak's word that castles rook d8 followed by knight a6 is a solid setup here. I don't know what white wants to do next. b3 maybe? Doesn't look terribly dangerous. But as always in the structure, as long as white has this majority in the center, black has some work to do in order to undermine it. If he doesn't manage to, sooner or later, white gets all his pieces out. He will be a little better because of his added central control. Alright, let's continue with the top match. Peter Leko versus Levon Aronian on board 1 in Hungary, Armenia, and Peter Leko has probably decided, or I'm not sure if he's decided to play it safe versus Aronian's Berlin, or if he just thinks this is the best shot at an advantage, or a bit of both. It's a very safe choice in a team match, especially if your opponent is the world number 2. Knight takes e5, bishop e7, bishop to f1. Now remember in the good old days in 2011 when I was playing for Germany and we won this European team championship as in a big upset in the last round versus Armenia. Akai Naidic on the top board chose this very same line against the very same Levon Aronian in order to play it safe there as well, made a draw, and we went on to surprisingly win the title. Levon Aronian there has found his mojo back in 2017, winning a lot of tournaments, wearing what t-shirt was that? Fraser versus Ali t-shirt. Wearing some nice retro t-shirt, and it looks like Anish Giri is stalking him, has some kind words. Now, they're not really allowed to talk to each other during the round, but they are allowed to walk around. So, yeah, this Rook E1 Berlin leads to an almost symmetrical structure. Black has to solve the problem of what to do with his knight after d4. Bishop f6 followed by Rook e8 is a popular line. Knight to e8 is another line as played by Levon Aronian. When White has to decide if he wants to try to grab more space by playing d5 or if he wants to play it safe by doing something like c3, d5, whatever. Bishop to d3 with an equal position. We'll see what Peter Leko has up his sleeve here. I, as you can probably see by my suggestions, lack expertise, but I'd be tempted to play d5. Grab that space, if possible. And now, Leko has played Rook back to e1, anticipating this Rook being attacked by either Bishop f6 or after d5, with Bishop to d6. And if Aronian plays the move d5 now, which looks very logical, then yeah, I don't think he should have great trouble equalizing. Looks like it's part of their match strategy, not to provoke Levon Aronian into something too active and play it very, very safe. Sergei Movsesian on board number 2 versus Viktor Erdos. Viktor Erdos so far had an excellent tournament, 2.5 out of 3, including that victory versus Jan Nepomniachtchi the other day. Movsesian, things have not gone well at all. He has 1 out of 4. He lost to Lamy yesterday, he lost to Banikas, and he drew 2 games against Pelletier and Hrvoje Stevic. So he has to do some work to get back on his usual level and in his captain's good graces with the black pieces against Erdos. Erdos played the French, Movsesian played c5, takes, queen takes c5. Queen c5 might look funny, but it is actually, I believe, a more popular move than bishop c5. The queen from c5 can retreat quickly to the c7 square, and black gets a fairly harmonious setup with queen c5, knight f6, bishop e7, knight bd7, and queen on c7, as we see in this game. In order to not allow black everything he wants to do, Movsesian goes for a quick a4 and a5, because if you also allow black to play b6, bishop b7, then he wouldn't have a single problem. So a4, queen c7, a5. It's one way to keep the position a little spicy, but I still believe black should be fine. Castles, knight c5, bishop d7. Hard to believe that black has any particular problems here. Richard Rapport on board number 3 against Gabriel Sargsyan. Rapport has been playing solid mainstreamy chess most of this tournament, and today it looks like he's decided to improvise a little bit, but still within the realms of established chess rules. I'm not sure if rules is the right word, because he's not going all crazy with early pawn pushes, but he plays c3, which is not a move that you see frequently in this position, of course. The main move is c4 here, and recently we've had a bit of a revival of the London system with this move, bishop to f4, and Rapport decides to start with c3. Not quite sure. Maybe it's directed against c5. Now after c5, black would at least have to consider d takes c5, even though normally this is not the end of story either here after e6. I believe black is supposed to be okay to get this pawn back. Still, Sargsyan said, okay, if you want to play c3, I don't mind keeping it symmetrical. I'll go c6, bishop f4, bishop to f5. And Rapport said, nah, not so fast. I don't want to just keep the position down like this. I'll go knight to h4. Target your bishop on f5 and let you decide what you want to do with it. If this bishop were to retreat, let's say to c8, then white would play a move like knight d2 or e3. And at the very least, black has not achieved to copy white's setup with the bishop outside his own pawn chain. And if black has to play something like e6 here, then after knight f3, white would have achieved a little something because his bishop had to stay at home. Sargsyan doesn't want to do that, instead plays bishop to e4, which is a more combative move, but also means that black probably has to part ways with this bishop. Rapport plays knight to d2. Generally, you don't want to play f3 here, because after bishop takes b1, rook takes b1, this knight would have a much harder time returning anywhere, really. So f3 wouldn't be very kind to that guy. Instead, knight d2 has been played. And after e6, now Rapport is thinking. I don't think he wants to go knight takes e4 that quickly, because he had d takes e4. It's not clear, but once again, it's fairly awkward for the knight on h4 to get back into business. He'll probably have to go for some g3, and at some point knight to g2. But that's a very high price to pay for the two bishops that you have to move your knight around like this so early in the game. Even though it would lead to the type of sort of unknown structures that Rapport tends to excel in, I'm not quite sure he wants to do that here. After knight takes e4, black, if he wanted to play it safe, could also go knight takes e4, knight f3, bishop d6, which looks fairly reasonable as well. White has the two bishops, but black is on his way to exchange one of them very quickly. Shouldn't have any particular problems. So I would expect him to do something else after e6. One move that comes to mind is queen b3, targeting the b7 pawn. If black goes queen b6, then that changes a lot of things a little bit. For example, you could go f3 now, and after bishop g6, take it, play e4, and this is a position where, to my mind, the two bishops would matter. So that's certainly an option. Another option would be, now that bishop takes b1 is no longer possible, to think about the direct f3. When the bishop goes away, once again we can play e4, and white would be a bit better. One question, however, is after f3, black can say, okay, you did it, Richard Rapport. You dragged me into the mud. I will also put my knight on h5, and we will start freestyling. Everybody's pieces are hanging. I understand. This is what you wanted me to do, but it might also be